You know what? I come from a country where ice cream is not exactly a rare thing. As a child, I loved nothing more than the sound of a British ice cream van. But then I moved to the United States and realised that British ice cream culture ain't got nothing on America. And in case you don't believe me, July is National Ice Cream Month in the US. And if you're dedicating an entire month to a food item, you might be collectively addicted. But back when I moved here, the entire concept of a shop devoted to ice cream was alien to me. It should be noted, however, that Britain has recently felt the American influence. According to The Guardian, British ice cream parlours have been showing up with greater frequency in the 2020s. But it wasn't just America's ice cream shops that presented a novel experience, it was also the size. And by that I mean two things. Firstly, the size of the selection. American ice cream stores have more flavours than I even knew existed. From Rocky Road to Superman to my personal favourite, Butter Pecan, I don't know. You have to understand that back when I was a child, I was lucky if the options extended beyond chocolate, vanilla and mint. Second, portion size. Like most foods that are high in calories, American ice creams tend to come in larger servings than their British counterparts. And as you'll find during Midwestern summers like this one, the larger the ice cream, the greater the odds that it will drip down your wrist. It's an absolutely irreversible mess now. Yeah, my apologies go out to the owners of Hartigan's ice cream parlour who now have to clean up this we're going to clean up. And so I just have two questions. Firstly, are you subscribed to this channel? And if not, do that now. And secondly, why are Americans so obsessed with ice cream? I'm going to draw on my own observations and alarmingly interesting facts that I've learned about ice cream over the years to answer that question. The obvious answer, of course, is that ice cream is amazing. Who wouldn't like it? Well, if my latest poll of 36,000 people is to be believed, only 6% of humans. And that's either down to health reasons or just because they're wrong.
Yeah, but even the people with health concerns, I mean, think about it. There's a whole sub-industry that's literally just devoted to non-dairy ice cream. That wouldn't exist if those people with health concerns didn't like it just as much as the regular people.
That's a good point. So,
I say the regular people, I mean the people without dairy-specific health concerns.
We don't want people to think that Tara believes people with health concerns are subhuman. In fact, these findings more or less support a study by the International Dairy Foods Association that found that 97% of Americans either like or love ice cream. Furthermore, the United States ranks second in the world for per capita ice cream consumption. WorldAtlas.com found that the average American consumes about 44 US pints a year. Americans eat ice cream 3 times as much as British people do in the course of a year.
My grandfather, I don't think went through a day without a scoop of ice cream his entire life.
And he was really healthy.
Very healthy.
How did he do that?
Well, that's all he ate, sweets-wise. He wouldn't eat any other sweets.
Americans are only bettered in this respect by New Zealanders who consume a scarcely believable 59 pints each. It's all those second breakfasts. You know what's worse than strangers knowing everything about you? Strangers knowing everything about you and selling that information to more strangers. It turns out, thanks to data brokers, there were websites listing my name, old addresses, how many cups of tea I like to drink a day, or maybe not that one, but all the others. And as somebody caught between two countries that love their paperwork, I don't need more of my personal details floating around. And that's where Incogn comes in. Incogn contacts those shady data broker sites on your behalf and gets your information removed. You don't have to fill out endless forms or email mysterious customer service addresses that vanish into the ether. And while I'm wandering American forests trying to spot similarities with Britain, Incogn is working behind the scenes, scrubbing my data from the internet. It's fast, simple, and quite honestly, simply terrifying how much they find. But that's the point. Knowing that less of me is floating around on the internet makes tea time a bit more peaceful. Do what I did. Take control of your data. Head to incogn.com/lostinthepond and get an impressive 60% discount on Incogn's annual plan by using the code LOSTINTHEPOND. The link is in my description below. So what drives this ice cream craze? Well, it turns out it's nothing new. American ice cream addiction goes all the way back to George Washington. Records indicate that America's first president purchased a cream machine for ice in 1786 and invested in various ice cream related implements during the course of his presidency. Thinking about it, that might account for why he had rubbish teeth. But following his death, an inventory of his Mount Vernon home found hundreds of such implements. He wasn't just devouring ice cream, he was making it. So much so that he and Thomas Jefferson Jefferson, America's third president, helped introduce it to America's elite, thus setting the stage for its wider popularity in years to come. In fact, one American invention that helped expedite this process was the hand-cranked ice cream maker. Invented by the American homemaker Nancy Johnson in 1849, this new device simplified the process of ice cream making. Suddenly, Americans didn't have to be filthy rich to make and enjoy ice cream. They just needed a lot of patience and arm strength.
Do you need me to take over?
I think so.
Ooh. I think I'm starting to see some movement.
Of course, this invention came amid America's leading role in ice harvesting, a lucrative industry that unleashed a refrigeration boom in the 19th century. This meant that all sorts of foods could be preserved longer and eventually transported via the railroad. Fans of this channel might remember I covered this and America's invention of the modern fridge freezer in the video Why Are Americans So Obsessed with Ice Cubes? I'll link to that video at the end. The refrigeration revolution saw further advances in ice cream tech, with one major contribution from the British inventor Agnes Marshall in 1885. Who's that, Lawrence? Agnes Marshall was a culinary entrepreneur who invented a machine for freezing cream. She completely revolutionized how ice cream could be stored for commercial purposes. Marshall, who was known as the Queen of Ices, is also widely credited with inventing the modern-day ice cream cone. America, you're welcome. But that aside, one big reason for America's love of ice cream is that it's always been at the forefront of production. The development of refrigeration saw the popularity of ice cream skyrocket in the United States. Because I was reading that ice cream used to be a kind of quite a patriotic food. Proof of a person's adherence to American values. In fact, it was given to immigrants at Ellis Island, almost as if it were a rite of passage. In 1921, an article in Soda Fountain magazine referred to the practice as an Americanization aid, adding, "Who could imagine a man who is genuinely fond of ice cream becoming a Bolshevik?" And to think all I got was a certificate. But communists might well have scoffed at ice cream's role in our capitalist system. And that's because the United States is home to more multinational ice cream companies than I ever knew existed. Let's see, you've got Baskin-Robbins, Ben and Jerry's, Häagen-Dazs. And if you're thinking, ooh, Lawrence, I thought Häagen-Dazs was European. That's because its American founder wanted you to think that. Like, he actually made up the name Häagen-Dazs out of thin air because it sounded vaguely Danish. To be fair, it was a well-meaning faux pas. He did it as a Jewish person because he liked how well Denmark treated Jews during World War II. So, the United States is also at the forefront of marking ice cream with brand names that millions of people recognize. And 340 million of them live right here at my house in America. Sorry, I've had way too much sugar-free ice cream. But for many Americans, it's not about history or the profit margins of Cold Stone Creamery. It's about nostalgia, as these people on Reddit can attest to. I had weird taste as a kid. At Cold Stone, I only ever got mint chocolate ice cream with white chocolate chips. Anytime I need some serotonin, I recreate this at home. Mine is mint chocolate chips, specifically the slow churn kind from Kroger with the larger chips because it's what my family grew up having. Not my favourite or the best, but definitely the most nostalgic. Butter pecan. My parents were older and my dad always kept butter pecan in the house. I've never tried a butter pecan that I didn't like. Nor me, deleted. Nor me. In fact, all of this is something that I can relate to big time. I've lived in America so long that even I get nostalgic for American ice cream. When I first moved here, it was the chocolate dip cone from Dairy Queen. Then came German chocolate cake ice cream. And I think I gravitated toward that because I was like, yay, America does have actual foreign desserts. Who says it doesn't care about the rest of the world? And then I found out that Germans have never heard of it. And that's because it has nothing to do with the country, but was named after the English-American chocolate maker, Samuel German. But you didn't know that, did you? Either way, it was delectable, and I think that brings me on to the obvious reason for ice cream's enduring popularity in America. It's just really, really good. I mean, yeah, I'll always have a special place in my heart for England's 99 Flake, but American ice cream is so bloody flavourful, so creamy, and so varied that British ice cream doesn't hold a candle to it, which, to be fair, is the last thing you want to do with ice cream. Anyway, remember earlier when I said this? As a child, I loved nothing more than the sound of a British ice cream van. Almost always, that sound was the 16th century English folk song Greensleeves. But, as if to underscore the breadth of flavours, American ice cream vans, or ice cream trucks as they're known here, come with a veritable who's who of music, from Pop Goes the Weasel to The Entertainer to the American folk tune Turkey in the Straw. So to answer the question, why are Americans so obsessed with ice cream, you could argue it's who they are. When do you think you first fell in love with ice cream?
In the womb.
Do you think that's all Americans? That's partially why you're so obsessed with it as a country, is that you just feed babies it while they're in the womb?
Well, I mean, pickles and ice cream, it's a common pregnancy thing, like a craving.
You don't mix them together though, that is not what you...
I've never been pregnant,
saying,
so I couldn't tell
me.
you, but I have heard that pickles and ice cream is a common thing that people crave during pregnancy.
So, happy National Ice Cream Month, everybody. Let me know your favourite flavour in the comments below, and don't forget to watch the prequel to this video, Why Are Americans So Obsessed with Ice Cubes? Until the next video, goodbye.